Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. As if you guys have noticed already, we have some issues with the name of the show. Somehow is not somehow is incorrect, but we're having some technical problems with our bottom line here. So bear with us as we try to get some of that taken care of because for some reason we're having a bit of technical difficulty. So I'm going to try to get this taken care of as we speak, and we'll be sure to make sure all is running fine. But as it turns out, our bottom panel here is not working, and a lot of things here is not working. I'm surprised that we're actually on air, but anyhow, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. The title of the show, folks, is incorrect, but I'm going to put that title on the screen, and maybe at some time I will be able to get to my panel here, but I can't get to the panel right now. The title of the show today is Open Forum. Call us. That's what we say. Call us. You can give us a call and be a part of the show. Get on air online. Let's see. I've got that done. Okay. Egberto, who is your favorite president ever? My favorite president ever. I don't know. I got to think about that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and start with El Senor. Nanette Birdsmith was the first person here today, so I'm saluting Nanette Birdsmith. Michael Rudden says, who is Mario Gonzalez? Body cam shows police kneeling on man before his death. These incidents are going to keep happening until police procedures changes to make cuffing someone while face down against protocol banned illegal. Meantime, you've got the police officer's partner saying to roll Mario Gonzalez on his side, which wasn't done, resulting in another unavoidable death. Yeah, these guys, you see, these guys too often they forget what humanity is all about. They forget who they're serving. You know, you have the police unions that think they have to protect the police. No, the police are there to protect us. And that is what many don't understand. Many continue to think police rights, police. It's not that. It's the rights of the citizens, and the police work for the citizens. But we've turned so much on the other side. Just like in our society, we forget that business is made so that we can have a pleasurable life, not that we exist to make sure business is pleasurable for the few. We have taught ourselves to require so little. We have taught ourselves to demand so little. They inch at it and inch at it and inch at it to take away all that makes us human, all that makes us deserving. It's with the police, with business, with just about everything. You go to see a doctor these days, you know, the insurance company acts like if they're doing something for that if they forget that they're there to serve you, as opposed to you serve their master to make somebody else money. So that's it. Second item from El Senor Radnin. New Jersey sees a few rare breakthrough COVID cases in those fully vaccinated against the virus. Less than 1 in a million. Sounds like a good odds to me. I agree. Let's see what else have we got here. Whoa, that is late. Huh. Okay, of more than 84 million people vaccinated, the CDC has received reports of 5,814 breakthrough infections in 43 states. Of those patients with reported breakthrough infections, 396 were hospitalized, 74 died, according to the CDC, although a portion of the hospitalized and deaths were due to other causes. Hey, all, it's from Bridge MCP. How you doing, Bridge? Great to see you here, as usual. Couldn't do this stuff without all our great people around. All right, let's see who else we got. Michael Rodden also says, it's not vaccine hesitancy, it's COVID-19 denialism. Coming up on 600,000 dead, and people worried about 1 in 1 million vaccine injuries than the real risk of hospitalization of or death from COVID. What you just said is very important, Michael. But what a lot of people don't yet understand, right? And this is where we talk about critical thinking, because critical thinking is so important. And unfortunately, we don't do it as we should. Let me give an example. What you said is very logical. And not only logical, but if somebody learns that wait a minute, if we look at a 0.2% death rate in the country from COVID, but a 1 in a million, which is 0.000001% death rate from the vaccine, we better give the vaccine since it's going to change that much larger thing from occurring. But we no longer teach critical thinking because we know that a dumb population can easily be controlled by those who want to use them. Now, if you're being controlled by folks that are really trying to make things better for you, it's acceptable, right? It's not the wise thing to do, but it's not too bad. Like in Panama, we had a dictator, not Manuel Antonio Noriega, Torrijos Herrera. Okay? He was a dictator. But under that dictatorship, we built dams, the Bayano Dam and all these other dams that electrified the interior of the country, the part of the country that was neglected. All these great things happened in the country, right? The United States won't say that. They'll just say we had a tin pan dictator. But they won't say the good things that this man done, Omar Torrijos Herrera. They never said the good things that he did. But then we got Manuel Antonio Noriega, who was a drug dealer that worked for the CIA, and they kept him there and they were happy with him until he first told them no. Again, we no longer teach critical thinking. We no longer know who is working for us. Oklahoma governor signed 3 abortion bills. Egberto, the topic in Facebook and so forth is yesterday's. I know, wrong topic. Sorry, and right now the computer is frozen. I can't change it. I'm just hoping that the show can continue. Eric Hayes says, hi all, this is the 115th person killed because judges are letting out thugs, as you like to say, on the streets to commit murder. 6, let's see what else you say here. 6 judges in particular, and 1 has 8 in their court, so not an isolated issue. 30-year-old mom shot by hands of a hardened criminal, let out for the very thing beating a woman. Look, I'm glad that you have passion for that particular issue. I really am, Eric. And let's go back to critical thinking again. You just mentioned 115 people because of this have died. And that makes you justifiably upset. And I am with you. You're justifiably upset for that. Ask yourself, for the policies that we have in Texas that's going to kill over 3,000 people in Texas because of the lack of health care. Will you join and join that crusade as well? Look, as far as the bond issue is concerned, I think I told you in a message, I am not sure how to handle that because of the thousands that are let out, I don't know which ones are going to commit a murder or not. I don't. I honestly don't know that. So what I'm saying is that issue is a bit more complex than we may want to make it, but it's a bit more complex. So we ought to look at that seriously. But I hope people look at issues like Michael Rudnin was talking about before that really needs to be looked at in much more detail. Welcome, Julie Van Asdel, Deb Denny. Welcome, Deb Denny. Amy Comey Barrack refuses to recuse herself from Koch brothers case. Of course she won't. ATL checking in from Paul Fleming checking in from Atlanta. Welcome aboard, Paul. Abraham Trump. Egberto, who is your favorite president? I don't know. British MCP, I'm not sure about the Mario Gonzalez killing. I do not think the police should be responding to these types of things. They should not. They should have called someone to come in. It's like having a psychologist trying to go onto the streets with a gun. Oh, that's a perfect analogy, Bridge. I love that. So I'm not sure they really meant to kill him, but the methods are standard. And that's the thing. Police officers don't start out, most of them, I don't think they start out bad. There are some that do. Some that just want control and they do start out bad. Not all of them do. I agree with you. Okay, let's see. Julie Van Assel says, I'm going to make a prediction that they vomited in his mouth and couldn't expel it. He vomited in his mouth and couldn't expel it, possibly. Jessica Taylor, they spend more time protecting their bad actors, not serving the citizens. Whoop, whoop. Exactly right. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Bridge MCP says, Amy Comey Barrett refuses to recuse herself from dark money case. I mean, he got her there, so she can't leave. He wanted her there. She's there now, and that's her goal, right? That is her goal, to be there. So what can I say? Uh, it's just a shame. It's just an utter shame. Let's see what else we got here. Daniel Ledo, LOL, Egberto trying to apologize for dictators. No, I'm not. I didn't apologize for Trump. He was a dictator. He was a much worse dictator than Manuel Antonio Noriega or Omar Torrijos Herrera. Look them up. They did stuff for the regular guys. Trump only did stuff for you know whom. And by the way, Daniel Ledo, do you know how Trump is laughing at you? Trump is laughing at you for being so low on his totem pole, on the economic totem pole, and being able to want to support somebody that is taking all that you have or the little that you have. Think about that. Think about what they've said Trump has talked about his followers, how he's talked down about them. Those dummies, they actually follow me. Huh. All right, yay, they screwed up, but they seem to really want to help, but being police. Okay, like the duck that quacks. How you doing? I got the J&J, had zero side effects. My arm didn't even ache like after I got my second shingles shot, of which the side effects were like 5 times worse. Fever, chills, fatigue, sweat, muscle pain, etc. Glad you got your vaccine, brother. The duck that quacks also say, I hope it works. I've seen some scary images emerging from India. India is an issue, and the problem with India is there's a variant out there that we're not sure if our vaccine is how effective it's going to be. It is effective to some extent, but how effective we're not sure. Squeedo, the duck that quacks, same Harold here. But anyhow, if we can get some level of herd immunity here in the United States, and we can do some good screening of people coming into the country, we should be okay. We should be okay. But we have to be very vigilant going forward. At first, we weren't vigilant. We were just hoping. You know, when we had that irresponsible president, he didn't believe in science. So he just thought wishing something away would wish it away. He forgot that the reason we didn't have an Ebola crisis is we had a very effective and competent president working behind the scenes to make sure nothing happened. You know, that's a problem about being competent, right? If you are competent and quiet, in other words, if you're just doing your job, making sure things work right, it is difficult because you're not there, hey, this is what I did today. You're not doing that kind of a stuff. And unfortunately, Trump did a lot of talking with no action, and it cost us a lot. It cost us a lot. Okay. Let's see who else we got here before I get into the first thing. Deborah John is here from LA. Watch that Killology, Bridge MCP. I remember that from yesterday. Tom C. Biden's State of the Union speech tonight should be called Fate of the Nation. Needs to address dire economic, health, climate, and racism issues, plus voter suppression and election subversion. You guys want to talk about that before I go to the video? Biden wears a mask during a Zoom with a mask and no American flag. You know, Eric, you're a grown man, sir. Why do we concentrate on silly crap like that? I remember when Obama was in office that he didn't have a lapel on, that he did a bump fist. It is so childishly silly and, mark my words, but pretty unintelligently stupid to concentrate on issues like that. This is a guy that effectively fought or is fighting the virus and making things better for America. And we're going to worry about the flag wasn't seen in the Zoom call. How silly. And yesterday they had, the vice president book was mandatory reading for all the kids that are the kids that are coming over in America. It was a lie. The woman who wrote it for that conservative newspaper, the New York Post, she resigned in disgust. They forced me to lie. They forced me to lie. They forced me to write a lying article. I mean, the conservative newspapers, they are Trump. Remember that thing that I showed you? They are Trump. They lie. They lie. It's shameful to think of the kind of lie that they told on the vice president. Vice President, I mean, how could they do that? Right? They actually wrote an article in a respectable, in a newspaper that is supposed to be respectable, that says the vice president actually had her book sent to these people. It's a lie. How many lies do you have to hear? You guys on the conservative side, my brothers on the conservative side, how many times do they have to lie to you? How many people have to resign and said they forced me to lie? Kamala Harris never had her book out. How many times do you need to hear? Now Eric says it's all masking, don't you think? Message to people and masking when you're all full vaccine. The message. Okay. All right, I'm going to go to something sensible now. No, when I say, I don't mean respectable. When I say, I mean mainstream. I should say mainstream. Good call out. All right, I tell you what I'm going to do. Let me get this first video out, and then we're going to talk about Manchin and voting. And anybody wants to call in, I'm going to put the call in screen, the number on the screen. But anyhow, let's go ahead and watch that video, and I'm going to see if I can clean up some of the problems that we have here without crashing the system, but it may crash. We'll see. A few days ago, a lawyer from one of our reputable firms around the country came on to MSNBC, and they seem to have put some of the blame of Dante's murder on Dante, and we took exception to it. We're going to show some snippets of what we said in the video. Inside of the notes section of this video, you can actually find a link to the entire video that we did. Well, it turns out that Mr. Dunn, the person who was in the video, responded, and I think it was only fair for us to play the entire video that he sent. Then I'll have a couple of comments afterwards. While watching Dante Wright's funeral today, right after it, Ayman Mohayedin had two guests on. One of them was Tiffany Cross. The other one, he was one of those guys I put in the same boat as Candace Owen.
Is there a perception among the police that if you are a young black man or woman, just the tone of your skin is a risk and danger that makes you a threat, regardless of what it is that you are doing?
Well, I think that everyone is kind of walking on eggshells. And I think that we've got hundreds of years of inertia in this country that we're trying to undo. And the movement for social justice is very important. And the idea of police misconduct is something that has resonated in the souls of communities of color for literally hundreds of years. But it's not going to all change overnight. But the idea of escalation and anxiety is something that is omnipresent. And we have to say that this goes both ways. Yes, we don't want the officers to use deadly force, and they have historically been all too quick to do that. But at the same time, I was taught by my father to never run because they'll kill you. And the way these situations play out is it is frenetic energy on top of frenetic energy. And we have to teach our boys that any encounter with a police officer can quickly degenerate into a deadly encounter if they lose their cool or if they do anything that is a provocative act.
You know, I think that the practice of white supremacy is so deeply woven in this country that you will have the oppressed adopting the talking points of the oppressors. First of all, this is a 20-year-old kid. Imagine what he has experienced in his lifetime, what he has seen in his lifetime. To have these law enforcement officers put him in handcuffs, he was fearful. He came up during the time of Trayvon Martin, of Philando Castile, of Tamir Rice, of countless names and faces that we have seen die at the hands of law enforcement. But somehow we want to put the onus on this kid. They had this kid's license plate, they had his license, they had his registration. They could have found him easily. But somehow the conversation is turning to what could this kid have done to prevent his own death? Why is the onus on us to stay alive when encountering the police? Because I've seen police de-escalate irate, angry white people more times than I care to remember, yet the threat of a kid just existing is perceived as a threat.
And Philando Castile did as he was told. He was blown away. George Floyd did as he was told. Yes, he had a panic attack going into the car, but otherwise he did as he was told. He was murdered. We can go person after person doing as they're told and get murdered. So you run, you get killed. You don't run, you get killed. I don't know.
I'm speaking to the Cochran firm and the Cochran family. So it has come to my attention that some of the remarks that I made this week have caused some concern, and that some of the members of the firm have had some difficulties with some of the responses to my remarks. And I want to try to tell you why I said what I said. So specifically, you have to understand that one of the reasons why I come at situations with a different point of view is because I've been doing this for so long. Literally, since 1993, I've been pretty much devoting my entire life to the issue of police misconduct, but most directly, police shootings and excessive force that result in police shootings. And I know how these situations play out because I've seen how they play out again and again. And to say that it hasn't affected me on a deep level would not be true. It has affected me tremendously. And one of the things that has created a problem for me is that you keep seeing the same thing happening over and over again. Specifically, I want to tell you that the most important motivation that I have always had is not saying the thing that pleases people, but I want to try to stop the killing. And I want to try to stop these funerals from happening. I've had over 100 death cases, folks, and in all of that time, I can tell you that they're preventable and that you see the same things happening over and over again. There were a lot of comments to the effect of I'm using the talking points of my oppressor, or we're using the talking points of the enemy, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it. When you're on the street and a shooting plays out, the aggression that comes from the police officer cannot be articulated in terms of talking points. And when I say that we need to tell our boys not to run, the oppressor on the street is the aggressive police officer that's inclined to shoot someone. And he wants our boys to run. He wants them to resist. He wants them to talk back. And all of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take that away from him. When we look at how a shooting really plays out, you have to understand that most of it happens because of the anxiety and the aggressive energy of the police officer. But there are things that we can do to at least lessen the exposure to that risk. And one of the things that we can do is not resist and not run. I know that may be an unpopular comment, but if you're coming from the place of not wanting shootings to happen in the first place, you have to understand that we have to do everything that we can to keep that from happening. The other thing that a lot of people were concerned about is that my remarks were made in the context of a funeral. But you have to understand the remarks that predated mine were also made in that same context, and they were very political, and they were very inflammatory. And it's just the kind of rhetoric that is used to create a mindset that law enforcement are dishonorable, racist, and to be disrespected. And a person hearing that might believe or internalize those words to mean that it's okay to disrespect them, it's okay to run, it's okay to disrespect law enforcement, and that's exactly the kind of thing that gets us killed. So that's why I said what I said, when I said it. And I don't necessarily expect anyone to agree with me or even approve of what I said or even support me. But I did want you to understand why I said what I said.
I understand exactly where Mr. Dunn is coming from. I really do. And not only that, some of the advice that he has given to young women or men of color are the same kind of advice that I give, but in the context of national news, in the context of where the police in general is under scrutiny. It's not the place for us to tell others you have to try to mitigate your own death. We've done that for decades with our kids. Putting that into the ethos gives these officers the implied right to somehow believe that we think we must take some sort of responsibility for them being the type of cops that hurt people, the kinds of cops that murder people, the kinds of cops that just don't do their jobs. I understand what Mr. Dunn is saying, but the fact of the matter is it was not the place, it was not the context in which that statement should be made, because at this point, all the fault must go where it belongs, on the police officers, the trained police officers who use their own prejudice, who use their own racism, who use their own irrational fear of people of color. And I don't really think most of it is irrational fear. I think most of it is simply they don't consider people of color of equal value to the others they may encounter. Exactly. Now, I was shocked when I got that video because, again, we wrote the story 3 or 4 days ago, I believe. And, you know, last night I was just doing my stuff, and here comes this email from this person's cell phone, the Mr. Dunn's cell phone. Says he wanted to clarify a few things because I guess he was kind of getting hit pretty hard on the internet, and including some of the things that, you know, we wrote about and many other people write about. But I want to put it in this context here. What he did on MSNBC was dangerous. You cannot make any of those who were killed by the cops, you cannot use that statement that says that person shouldn't have done anything, because technically speaking, what you find out is that gives the cops the reason and says, you see, even this guy says, just don't fight and it'll be okay. They tried to use the other guy at the George Floyd thing, when the guy told George Floyd, don't fight it because you can't win. He meant the same thing that Dunn was saying. Don't fight because they have all the power, you have none. And some people say, well, wait and fight for another day. I mean, I kind of told my daughter that in some respect. But the truth of the matter is not even that can save you from police officers who really are having a bad day or want to kill you. Ask Philando Castile. Ask Michael Floyd or George Floyd. Ask all these people and you'll see the same results. And you know what? I was at Daily Kos, right? And you know, these things just keep happening over and over again. So I'm at Daily Kos. And what do I find again? I want to see if I can find that article, because now that I'm talking, I want to show you, it's number one at Daily Kos right now. I want to show you a piece of that video, just a piece of that video to show you can't win. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and put that on the screen and let you hear what that's all about.
I'm telling you.
Why are you over here, sir?
Well, because I got called here for you.
For what? What did I do?
You have any ID on you?
No, I don't have to give you
No,
ID,
you do
sir.
have to.
For what, sir? What did I do, sir?
You do.
What did I do, sir?
Now, send me another unit.
Please bring your superior here, sir.
I am the superior.
No, you're.
I am
hired.
the superior officer. My badge number's 4. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have ID.
I don't have to give you ID,
No,
sir.
you do
I'm
have
just
to.
sitting at lunch.
You
Why
do
are
have
here?
to show your ID.
Why are you here? No, I don't.
Yes, I do. I had a
What crime
call
did
on
I
you.
commit?
What
crime
you
did
know
I
what?
commit?
Get up
What
and
crime?
go outside.
I'm
Get up
asking.
and go outside.
I'm asking you what crime
Get
did I
up
commit.
and go outside.
Sir, I'm asking you what.
I got called here for you, and I'm asking your identification.
Sir, what
Get up
did
and
you
go
do?
outside.
What was the call?
Get up and go outside.
Sir, that's not fair. That's not right.
No, it is fair.
That's not right, sir.
It's very fair.
That's not right. It's
and
all
it's
being
very
recorded.
right.
There you go. Racial profiling, man.
Oh, yeah,
Honest
it's racial profiling.
Straight in here.
5104 County.
Look at him. Police.
Oh, and 22431-272. 22. Or, I'm sorry, 32431-272. Run that, please. Because this guy's saying that I'm racial profiling him.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Because I just don't like black people.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't like black people.
It's like that out here, man.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
sad.
it's like that out here.
It's sad.
Everybody knows me knows that I don't care whether you're white, brown, or tan.
Drunk, sir? Why are you looking like that?
Pennsylvania.
Because I'm tired of your attitude.
I don't have an attitude.
You
I
do
never
have
had
an attitude.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's real.
That's real.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. But why am I being outside? Why am I being outside?
Is there anything on him? On him. Did you hear what they just said?
Yeah, I heard. Now, this is the second part. It just shows you the disrespect.
What are you talking? He's over here talking about my tattoos and anything else to get out here, bro. I don't understand.
Oh, I already know who called. Yeah, I already know who called. He was right off the get-go.
What are you talking about? It's all recorded, sir. Everything from when you walked in, it's all recorded. So I hope you
I
got
don't
your
care.
stories. Okay.
5104 County. Is there any wants?
Negative.
Right.
Okay, send everything down, please. Also, a criminal history.
All right, I want to tell you what just happened there. The guy, he sends a guy's number, and this is a guy sitting down just eating. No problem. He's doing his stuff at the restaurant. They come in. There was somebody else smoking marijuana on the outside who they actually call the cops for, right? But he just walked past that and comes into the store. He sees a black guy through the window, goes into the store, and this must be the guy. And he doesn't even say, talk to him nicely to find out what is going on. And he just treats him, you saw it there, like an animal. This is the constancy of police interaction with black and brown people. Every time you have an encounter, it is a disrespect that you get. This guy eventually gave them, he went ahead and gave him the license. They looked him up. They said, does he have any warrants? Negative. That wasn't enough for the officer. Send me everything, including any criminal records. So, you have people just complaining all the time. Oh, you guys are race baiting. Oh, you guys are just complaining. You guys are just anti-police. No, police are anti-us. Think about it. Police are anti-us, and that is what we get every single time that they have an inkling that there's something wrong. You'd never get the benefit of the doubt, ever. And we've been talking about this for decades, right? We have been talking about this for decades. And nobody believes it. Nobody says, they don't want to believe it. They put sand in their eyes. They put their heads in the sand. Every time they turn on their TV and they see a cop blowing away somebody, it's always somebody of color. So they fool themselves into believing, oh, they must have done something wrong. Oh, maybe just black people or brown people commit more crimes. That is not true. We, black Latinos, don't commit more crimes than anybody else. It's just that is the way they're policed. And if you're policed that way, that is the impression that you get. One of the reasons for this program as well is for us to all educate each other. This is the reality. Now, that police officer called in to find out if this guy had any warrants. He had none. If he had a criminal record, he had none. But this particular police officer does have a criminal record. He did violate the human rights of another human being, a 14-year-old, I think it was a 14-year-old kid. He was suspended. Who is the thug? The young citizen or the cop? The cop is the thug. And did he not sound like a thug? Did he not sound like a thug the way he spoke to the man? It's a human being speaking. It's a human being sitting down. All he had to say, sir, could I have your driver's license? What for, sir? Well, I got a call from this person that said that you were smoking. I wasn't smoking that, sir. Well, just for the sake, sir, is this a person who was smoking marijuana or doing something here? He just had to assume this was a human being he was talking to and have a discussion. Because if I go into a store, if I go to a restaurant to eat, and I'm going for a pleasurable experience, I don't need a cop, the law, to come and make my experience where I have to prove my worth to this cop to continue having a pleasurable experience at a restaurant. But that is what they force people of color, black and brown people, to do. Just abide by him. And that's what Dunn was saying before. If he comes in there and he harasses you, just give him your license. And then just take it and then let. It is all, and women, forgive this statement that I'm saying, but men use this for women, bad men as well. Just take it. Take the rape and then let it be over with. That's what a lot of the old days mothers used to tell their daughters when things happen. They didn't want to raise a stink about these issues. Just take it and call it a day. And let it blow over. For how long? For how long? We can bring up these stories over and over and over again. I told you guys the story that a police officer treated me with dignity. And it shocked me so much that I wrote an article about it, and the guy got a commendation. That's how shocking it was for being treated with utter decency from a cop, that I got treated with utter decency from a cop. I had to write about it. And my listeners, and again, most of my listeners are white. My listeners were pissed at me. You know, my listeners called into KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Egberto, what's wrong with you? That is what he was supposed to do. That is the treatment you should expect. You don't need to give him any good word for doing that. No, I did. Because I feel if I give him a good word, just maybe other cops as well would realize that we're all humans and treat everyone like human beings. Just maybe. Just quizás un poquito nos van a tratar con un poco de dignidad. Just maybe. Just maybe. You know? What can I say? Can we hope? Anyhow, so when the lawyer, and by the way, this is a big time lawyer that sent me that thing, right? He's actually with the Cochran firm, that firm that got OJ off, right? The Cochran firm. So I got that email with the link to his Dropbox from his phone. And I'm like, so yeah, I have his cell phone number now. So anyhow, but it's funny because it was like, wow, this was so serious that he thought he wanted to respond to what we were actually saying. Just what he was saying. Anyway, off of the cop subject today now. And guys, I am sorry that we are not showing the name of the show that we're really having today. For those of you that have come in late, the name of the program today is Open Forum. Call, message us. Man who seemed to blame be killed by cops responded, which is what I played before. And Manchin fails. At my other website, faileddemocrats.com. Let me bring that one up. faileddemocrats.com. Here's the deal. Our good old friend, Joe Manchin, we got to stay with him, right? We got to stick with him because if we don't stick with Joe Manchin, McConnell is again majority leader, and everything goes to you know where. So we have to be sort of nice to Joe Manchin, and Joe Manchin knows it, so he takes advantage of it. And so what I want to do, though, and as soon as this stuff comes up, for some reason, it's taken a while. There we go. Here's what Joe. I want to read you what Joe Manchin, the thing that they wrote about. Oh, thank you for the. I forgot about PDR Posse. Thank you so kindly, Bridge MCP, folks. Before I forget. Please, if you are on YouTube right now, please click. Thank you for reminding me to do my ask. Please go and click that join button. Please click the join button and become a family member of our PDR Posse, the Politics Done Right Posse, so named by Bridge MCP, the leader of the PDR Posse, that we're going to be expanding along with the release of the book, I forgot the name of my book, How to Make America Utopia. We're going to expand on the PDR Posse. Now, please click that join button. If you don't have the join button, and I'm going to have to type this out I can't bring that file up because nothing works right now. You can also go ahead and get our cup And all of this you can do by going to, and I'm going to have to type it out, http politicsdoneright.com/store. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/store to get our cups. That you see the cups that you see on the screen. And if you want to get rid of the middle person, you can get our books as well. The politicsdoneright.com book, or rather the It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. Please go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/store as well. All our products, meaning our t-shirts like this, or hoodies, or mask, everything can be gotten at the politicsdoneright.com/store. Now, if you're on YouTube and you don't see, or on Facebook Live or anywhere else, and you don't see the join button to become a part of the Politics Done Right posse, please just go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. You can also support us by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, or you can also go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Didn't realize I could type that fast. Had to type them in manually. But anyhow, so thank you for reminding me to do the ask. If you go ahead and click that join button right now, or go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube and become a member right now, I will take that box and put it on the screen so everybody can see that you are a supporter of progressive media. And you know what we do? We make sure and put the progressive message out there all over. And not only that, but we also interpret. Keep at 8WX. Let's see. The Duck That Quack says, next super chat in a few weeks. Thank you very much, the Duck That Quacks. I appreciate you for giving me those super chats. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about Joe Manchin. First of all, I am going to be very tactful with Joe Manchin because we need Joe Manchin. And Joe Manchin knows that we need him. Joe Manchin doesn't really want to jump ship and go to become a Republican because, again, he's a real Democrat. One of those blue dog Democrats. He's a real Democrat. But he's a problem Democrat for those of us that want progressive things taken care of. This is what they said at Vox. Some filibuster. Wait, let me read that whole part. The For the People Act. That is to make sure that all the laws that the Republicans are passing throughout the country right now, all those laws that are making sure that people of color, black, white, poor whites, Latinos who generally vote for Democrats, to prevent them from voting, they're passing all kind of laws throughout the country. So here's the deal. The For the People Act, which passed the Democrat-controlled House in March and is backed by Biden, aims to modernize voting registration, restore the Voting Rights Act, end gerrymandering, increase election security and campaign transparency, empower small donors, and implement various ethics reforms. A wave of voter suppression bills introduced this year by the GOP state lawmakers has bolstered demands for enacting it. A Vox senior politics correspondent, Andrew Prokop, reported Tuesday the following. Some filibuster reformers hope that as the year goes on, the reality of Republican obstruction will become clear to Manchin and he'll be driven to change his mind. That Senate rule will in the end be just as negotiable to him as the details of the Biden stimulus bill. For instance, reformers hope a GOP filibuster of Democrats' big voting rights bill, the For the People Act, could spur holdout senators to change the rules to pass it because it is important. Okay? Manchin recoils at the very idea. This is what he says. How in the world could you, with the tensions we have right now, allow a voting bill to be restructure the voting of America on a partisan line? He asked. He said that 20 to 25% of the public already doesn't trust the system. 20 to 25% of the public don't trust the system, which means, I guess, 80 to 75% of the people trust it, right? How? But it's which of those people are the ones that don't trust it and why? Of the public already doesn't trust the system, and that a party line overall would guarantee that number would increase, leading to more anarchy, like That at the Capitol on January 6th, he added, I just believe we all might, with all my heart and soul, that's what could happen, and I'm not going to be a part of it. I want you guys to understand what he just said there. I want you guys to understand, I wrote this on the top of the blog piece. Democrats have no choice but to tolerate and appease West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, but it hurts. Understand what Manchin is saying. He is willing to allow elected political terrorists to take away the democratic voting rights of black, brown, and poor Americans. He fears that 25% of Americans fooled by the right into believing that there is a problem with voting in America will create an insurrection again. It is pathetic, but suppose those disenfranchised by failure to pass these laws decide to fight for their inalienable right. There are actually more of them than there are of the insurrectionists. People, I want you guys to understand what he just said there. He just said, I will deny black people. I will deny Latinos. I will deny Asians. I will deny poor whites their vote because of those people who may create yet another insurrection. I mean, I want you guys to really understand what that means. I mean, it affects the people in his own jurisdiction. Think about that. Think about that. So I want folks to call Joe Manchin and be very nice to Joe Manchin. Tell Joe Manchin we need him. Ask Joe Manchin to please see through the eyes of other people who are being denied their rights to vote. By no means trigger him to leave, because we need him. You see, where I run into some problems with some of my good lefties, right, is they're pissed, justifiably so. And they want to go all out on this guy. I don't. I want to appeal to his humanity. I want to appeal to him to tell him that unless we get this vote, all the things that he wants for his people in West Virginia as well will not come to fruition. And West Virginia is likely the second poorest state in the country. I think only state that may be poor is Mississippi. I don't have those figures. I know Michael Rudnin will probably look it up. But between Alabama, Mississippi, and West Virginia, we are talking about poverty to the nth exponent. So please, I want all the people that live in West Virginia. I have a few West Virginia listeners as well. Actually, I think there's a public radio station that plays my show, the one that I do at KPFT in West Virginia. But folks, please, 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 call him. Call him. Which figure? Say again. All right, let's go ahead and let me read your stuff real quick now, guys, because we're coming close to the end of the show. And thank you, Brish, for reminding me to talk to request that the people become members. All right, let's see. Isn't Joe a moderate? Joe is what you call a blue dog Democrat. Okay, he's pretty conservative. I consider him very conservative. And you know, every conservative, if you're going to give some money to their states to keep them elected, their conservatism go away pretty quickly. All right, Julie Van Asvel, Egberto, this is off topic, but could you please research this account on FB? Breaking News US, their posts are spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories. FB is doing nothing about it. Okay, which is that account? FB Breaking News. The account is called Breaking News US. Okay, I'll check into that. Jim Slater, restroom bots toilet is backed up, and it's E2247. Today, the Minnesota Supreme Court struck down Parliament's permit to mine. Parliament cannot put a shovel in the ground. We won. Great, great, great. The Minnesota High Court found that DNR failed in its oversight by allowing Parliament to use a risky method to contain the enormous amount of acid mine drainage the mine would produce. It's amazing these guys care nothing about the environment, right? All right, going down to Macarena. Egberto, just remember that only 2% of polled Americans believe that our election system work all the time. Naming gerrymandering and voter suppressions as top issues. Exactly right. Eric, because he seems to straddle the fence and usually not what Egberto is saying now, go against the people. A lot of times, yes, he does. They will write something special for West Virginia in the bill and get more on board. I hope so, Paul. I hope so, Paul. I hope so. Julia Van Astel says, I was afraid that they'd come their account again. I could not get anyone qualified to check them out. The same group was shadowing BLM groups and talking about killing them. No surprise there. Eric Hayes, there is a wall. I still upright and still stay up for uncertain time, right? Huh? There is a wall. I still upright. I don't understand what that is. You may need to rephrase. Let's see, coming down. Michael Rennan says, I believe that the entire Republican Party is corrupt, but so is a large portion of the Democratic Party. Thank you for putting that out there, because if we want to show that we are straight down, in other words, we are telling people all about the truth here. We have to call ourselves out, those of us that consider ourselves Democrats, those of us that consider ourselves independents or whatever. We have to be honest, and Michael Rennan is absolutely true about that. All right, let's see. Lawrence Sims says, by not voting for an independent investigation with subpoena powers and jurors and judge who would prosecute the terrorist traitors who participated in that failed coup on January 6th, he's saying that he is cool with his colleagues running and hiding in fear. True. I agree. Can't argue with that. Norman Reynolds says, please realize that Joe Manchin is trying to be what McCain was for the GOP. Hey, I never looked at it that way, Norman, but I think that there's a lot to that. Michael Ronan says, Alberto, have you looked into this appointment? President Biden nominates Sheriff Ed. Of course I look. Ed Gonzalez is right here from Houston. He's a sheriff of Harris County. Yeah, we know who Ed Gonzalez is. Whether I like him or not, that's immaterial. But, we got ourselves a Texan who actually understands the problems. That's the one thing with getting Gonzalez, right? Gonzalez understands the issues. And he's a good friend of, I think he's a good friend of Lina Hidalgo, which for me, that's good enough. She's the youngest, most powerful politician in the entire United States of America. She runs Harris County, the third largest county in the country. Let's see. Eric Hayes says, Pelosi will still be up. Wall is still up, correct? Up until end of current administration. The Pelosi wall? What is that? Oh, you're talking about the thing around the Capitol? Yeah, I mean, if we have all these terrorists coming in, we have to do something about them. I think what we need to do, though, is do what the police do to people of color, right? Go ahead and pre-arrest them. Egberto, that's what I wanted to hear, if you'd like him or not. Thanks for the info. Yeah, I think, like I said, let me just be honest. I don't know, like, all his pros and cons, but the judge, the most powerful woman in this county, likes him. And for people that I trust, I usually take a lot of what they say on face value. Let's see. All right. What else do we have here before I go? Manchin, taken care of. Anybody else have anything else to say real quickly? Tom C. says, blue pen. Republicans try to change the last ballot, November ballots in Arizona and soon in Michigan. Yeah, it's funny because they had all those blue pens there till they got caught by the reporter who said, no, the machine can read blue pens. You need to use some other color. Michael Runyon says, LeVar Burton schools Meghan McCain. On The View, it's consequence culture, not cancel culture. Conservatives have gotten far too used to getting away with horrendous behavior. Now that there's a backlash, they'll have to learn that the rest of us won't be putting up with it anymore. Cancel culture is consequence culture. I think we have a consequence culture, and that consequence are finally encompassing everybody in society, whereas they haven't been ever in this country. LeVar Burton said, I think it has everything to do with a new awareness by people who are simply unaware of the real nature of this in country. For people who have been othered since the nation. I got some real passionate, good folk who can find good work. All right, Brice says, gotta go. Dog calls. Hey, Brice, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me that remembering to call out and ask people to support Politics Done Right. Paul Fleming, let's see what happens if we knocked all white supremacist groups. We need to do that. Eric Hayes says, Wordsmith. Everett Avery. Yvette Avery, how you doing, girl? Keep on giving out knowledge. Hey, folks, Yvette Avery is a very special person. She went up against United, UPS. I mean, she's a powerful union rep. And if I don't have her website up right now, but just Google her. And I think her website takes support. Make sure to support her. She's one of the people we have doing some real work for the working person. Thank you, Yvette Avery, for all that you do. You are one of my heroes, young lady. Both sides don't prevent POC from voting. Uh, I don't know what you mean, Norman. You may need to explain. Are you trying to Delta? I'm sorry, Delta Airlines, not United. Look at me giving false information. Thank you for correcting me, Yvette. Delta Airlines, not United. Delta Airlines. Anybody who heard me say United, it's Delta, Delta, Delta. That's in Atlanta. United is in Houston. Stepping away a couple minutes early. Catch you next time. I got to get out of here right now too. My name is Egberto Willies. This is the doc. You guys keep putting a message that I got to read before I go now. I've seen trespasser will be shot signs in the country. Put them up around the Capitol. I like that. Actually, I don't. I'm not a violent person, and I don't have a violent bone in my body. All right. My name is Egberto Willies. Thank you so kindly for having been here. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.